Hey guys, I'm waiting on some knives to cool down so I can get back to work. I thought I'd do a quick video here. I know we've had some topics before about clenching and how to and problems that arise. This will be specifically about using forged square shank nails and clenching them over, how I do it. A couple things to get started. A forged square nail is going to be a wedge shape unless it's machine manufactured to be identical for every nail. It's almost always going to be that way. When you have that and you're not working with green wood, you're working with modern day kiln dried wood, you're going to tend to split almost anything. Even some plywoods will crack out pretty bad. So I always recommend pre-drilling. The wood and the metal piece that you're going through should be two different hole sizes. The diameter of your wood, the hole through there should be slightly smaller than the diameter of your nail shank. So it does have some grip and grab to it. The hole through your steel, hopefully your blacksmith or whoever you purchase it from has you ready for square shank nails. I know when I forge something, I will then try to drift out this hole slightly to fit the nail that you need, and I'll either provide or that you'll buy. If not, you can use round wire shank nails. You just need to flatten the end off if you want a decent clench at the end, and I'll show you that when I get to it. But when you're sizing up, if you're doing your own drilling through the metal that you're going to attach to the wood, you need to turn the shank of the nail on the bias here to find the widest point. You're going to need that. If you just look at the profile of the nail and use a drill bit to that size, it's not going to fit. Your corners are going to catch. So line up your drill bit, turn it on the bias. I think mine's just a little over 3/16. So you can always drill out slightly bigger. The head, a properly forged nail head, should be mostly centered up under the head. So a bigger hole is not going to hurt anything. And each nail you put in is going to be in a different spot inside that hole, so you're not going to get a lot of wiggle as long as it's securely clenched over and each nail is going to touch a piece of the steel. So I'll always check mine and try to make sure there's a good strong fit there, and I'm not trying to force it through and scrape up the nail when it goes through if I can. So what you'll need is you'll need a hammer, preferably a lighter hammer, because when you're clenching you need what's going to be called a clench block, and for this I'll just be using a small level I made for painting over scythe blades. Just anything like this, a bigger hammer, a big chunk of metal, whatever you have to back it up. And you need that heavier mass on the back end, so when you're hammering it, then just bounce everything around. So for this example, we're going to go with, say, our shield boss, then our shield, then into, say, a handle. You can go through things one layer at a time if you need to when you're starting out. Kind of get an idea of which side I want here. Make sure it's still got a good fit. I'll go ahead and put it on top of that hole. I know, a quick close-up look at the nail here. When I make clenching nails, I don't just make a standard square shape. I will try to take that profile at the end of the nail. You can see that there. One way it's a little flatter than the other, and that's so that when you get that profile to pop through, you can then clench it over on that thinner end. It'll fold a lot nicer that way than having a big bulbous square shape like that. That thinner piece will bend over. So just a little easier to work with, and I'll specifically do that on clenching nails so that piece is just quicker and cleaner. So we'll start, say this is our shield face, our boss. Go ahead in there, and I want to try to line up that nail to wherever that's going to bend over. It's not super important, but if I'm going into something thin on the back that doesn't have a lot of width, I don't want that clench to curl over off the edge of it. I want it to curl back into the wood itself. So for this one, I'm going to line it up just like this. Push it in a little bit. I'll go ahead and get it started. Good. And I'll put what will be our handle on here. That through. Alright, now we just started to penetrate the wood. I'm up maybe 1/8 of an inch there. I'm gonna go a little bit further. All right, so now that I've got just a little more than 1/8 of an inch on that, I'm gonna take my hammer and come across and swipe the head. And just give it that little bit of bend, and that's where that thinner piece, where I'll flatten that wedge shape out, that's where that comes in handy. So all I need is that little bit of a sweep into it, and now I can put my clinching block behind it. As soon as I find the stupid thing. There we go. So now we got everything lined up. Clinching block is behind our clinch piece of the nail. Our boss is lined back up with where the square nail shank's going to come through. Start tapping it in. And what's going to happen is that nail shank is going to start to roll as the pressure is put onto it. Now ideally, this we want to come all the way in. So if you can start your curl a little stronger, you're good, but we've got some room here still. We've still got about 1/8 of an inch to hammer that in. I like to have my nail protrude through the entire piece that I want about 3/8 of an inch. Not quite 1/2 inch, but close. Make sure everything stays lined up. My clinch block behind. You can hear that grip. We've now clinched back into the wood itself. It's rolled over pretty good. Now we can go ahead and keep tapping on that to flatten it out. But you can see we've penetrated from that turn. So it's got a good, decent grip in there. That's not going anywhere. We've now flattened the surface back out into the wood. I'd call that a win in hammer slogging. As long as it's not protruding, you're not going to catch it on anything. We've not split our wood. We've not interrupted anything. That shield boss is not going anywhere. You've got a good, strong connection, and you've clinched a nice, good nail. Hope this helps everybody out, and if you need any nails in the future, I know I gripe about them a lot, but making a few for friends here and there, that's not that big a deal. It's feeding the commercial guys that are doing a whole lot of furniture with my nails is why I gripe a lot. Doing 300 nails in a row kind of wears me out. But, you know, you need a dozen or two, let me know. Hope this helps. Thanks, guys.